You like strange conspiracies? All the different kinds, aliens, Bigfoot, the Clintons, JFK files, Epstein files.
Blue glow, static headlines crawl, red string on a bedroom wall. Every name that we can't say out loud still hangs in the air like a storm cloud. Secret flights on midnight planes, they scrub the logs, they change the names. Smiling on our TV screens, their teeth drip through the in-between. Epstein files in a locked up drawer, black ink spilled over every door. Just a rumor till it hits the floor. How much can you hide before it's war? Burn the quiet files, turn the whispers into trials. If the truth is such a threat, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Raise your head.
Hey everyone, welcome to the show tonight. Strange Conspiracies. We're live. Looks like we've got some people in the chat already. What's up, Franklin, Courtney, Josh? Hey, Sophia. We appreciate you coming back. Hope you guys are having a good night. Thanks for joining with us on Wednesday night. Like I said, we kind of changed some things up a little bit. Just because we drop our episodes on Fridays, we decided Wednesday may be a better day to do a live show. So I definitely appreciate all of you being here with us tonight. So tonight we actually are doing, we're going to go into MK Ultra. It's actually a topic that I'm highly interested in, and it kind of ties into a lot of different things. They're really back into the 60s and 70s. So what do you guys think? You guys fans of MK Ultra? You know much about it? Thanks, Courtney. Appreciate that. So recently I've been kind of diving into, I'm not a huge reader usually, but when I get involved in something, it piques my interest. I really can actually read quite a bit. So I've been reading a bunch about MK Ultra, and kind of this ties a little bit into the Charles Manson murders. I know you guys have probably all heard of those. Charles Manson, the family, and kind of the narrative that goes with that. We're going to get into that a little bit more here later, but there's definitely a lot more to that story than what you probably know about it. A lot more. Yep, I'm with you. My favorite topic is always conspiracy. Oh, I got you. Okay. So tonight's all about MK Ultra. So if you're not really familiar with what MK Ultra is, I'll kind of go into that a little bit with you. So MK Ultra was an illegal human experimentation program designed and undertaken by the U.S. Central Intelligence Agency to develop procedures and identify drugs that could be used in altering human behavior. The term MK Ultra is a CIA cryptonym. MK is an arbitrary prefix standing for the Office of Technical Service, and Ultra is an arbitrary word out of a dictionary used to name this project. The program has been widely condemned as a violation of individual rights and as an example of the CIA's abuse of power, with critics highlighting its disregard for consent and its corrosive impact on democratic principles. So there's a couple key things that happened with the MK Ultra program. There's actually a couple different stories I want to get into tonight. But before I do that, I'll give you a little bit more on the background. So really, it was during the early 1940s, Nazi scientists working in the concentration camps of Auschwitz during World War II conducted interrogation experiments on human subjects. Substances such as barbiturates, morphine, hallucinogenics, mescaline, They were employed and used on the captive people during that time. The aim of these experiments was to develop a truth serum, which would, in the words of one laboratory assistant, eliminate the will of the person examined. So essentially, they wanted to control people's minds by dosing them with different drugs and seeing which ones really could shape and form their minds. So what it boiled down to is they tried a bunch of things. Really, their favorite was LSD. LSD is kind of the drug of choice. And that's actually what the CIA chose to use. So in 1950, the CIA, under the direction of General Walter Smith, initiated a series of interrogation projects involving human subjects, beginning with the launch of Project Bluebird, which was officially renamed Project Artichoke on August 20th, 1951. It was directed and overseen by General Paul Gaynor. The objective of Project Artichoke was to determine whether an individual could be made to involuntarily perform an act of attempted assassination. So they used morphine, mescaline, LSD. They were all administered to unknowing CIA agents in an attempt to produce amnesia in the subjects. So a lot of this, they did different experiments where they actually had, kind of spread out across colleges, universities, military personnel, and some of them knew they were going to be, part of an experiment, and some of them did not. And it was actually against their will that they were dosed. And there's actually a famous story of a guy named Frank Olson we'll get into, and that one is probably one of the more famous stories related to this. Hey, Tanya, appreciate you jumping in. Hope you're doing well tonight. Chris, hey, you're never late. Better late than never. Yeah, they did this unknowingly to people. So there's one rule, right, that we've probably, you may have heard, but like the CIA, they're not supposed to act within United States boundaries, because they're not supposed to employ their employ their tactics here in the United States. But there's a lot of evidence pointing to the fact that they did in fact use a lot of their intelligence and different assets, especially in the 60s and 70s. Again, a lot of this is tied to Charles Manson, which is, like I said, we're going to get more into that. And I'll point you guys down if you like to read, I'll point you at a book later on that I've really enjoyed. That's really, really good. And later we'll do some call-ins, kind of get through some of the stories of MK Ultra and the different things, and then we'll jump into some calls. If you guys have anything that you, I know I've got a few history buffs in here. Billy, appreciate you jumping in. Billy knows a lot about this stuff. Several government experiments were completed on soldiers in the name of national security, and several other programs were used on people without their knowledge. Yep. Yeah, there was a lot of that going on. So it kind of makes you guys wonder. This program apparently ended, and they destroyed a bunch of the files. Very few files still exist, and they actually released whatever was still existing to some degree. A lot of people, kind of the conspiracy behind all this is that it's actually still going on in some capacity. Do I have any proof of that? Absolutely not. But it's very interesting to think if they're wanting to do this at this time, then there's definitely a good chance that it's still going on today in some capacity or somewhere. So to kind of dive some more into this. So they did, like I was telling you guys, they did experiments on Americans. So their CIA documents suggest that they investigated chemical, biological, and radiological methods of mind control as a part of MK Ultra. They spent an estimated $10 million or more during this. So they had a hearing in the Senate Health Subcommittee. There was a testimony by the deputy director of the CIA, stated that over 30 institutions and universities were involved in the experimentation program of testing drugs on unknowing citizens at all social levels, high and low, Native Americans and foreign. Several of these tests involved the issuing of LSD to unaware subjects in social situations. The Army was subject to the testing of LSD, which occurred in 3 phases. The first phase included over 1,000 American soldiers who willingly volunteered for testing of chemical warfare experiments. Phase 2 had 96 volunteers who were dosed with LSD and evaluation of the possibility of intelligence uses of the drug. The third phase included Project Third Chance and Project Derby Hat, which conducted experiments on 16 unwitting, non-volunteer subjects that after receiving LSD were interrogated as part of the Operation Field Test. So to kind of give you guys just some clarity on that, yeah, they definitely were doing these experiments. Some people knew, a lot of them didn't. Do you imagine going to a college campus or an event and just being randomly dosed with LSD and then interrogated? All part of them really just testing what this drug does to the human mind. I believe that they thought that they were going to be able to control people's minds with enough levels of these drugs. So, hey, Eduardo, appreciate you jumping in. Robin, nice to see you in here. So appreciate all you guys being here tonight. Just a couple housekeeping tips. Usually we'll kind of get into the depth of what we're talking about. We'll take on some live calls later. Love to hear from you guys. Just your thoughts on this MK Ultra or any of the projects that are associated with it. I've never used drugs like that. So heck, if you've been on LSD, what's it like? Are you able to be easily controlled? We're willing to talk to people and kind of get to the bottom of it. So LSD, if you guys weren't aware of exactly what this drug does or is, in 1938, it was isolated by Albert Hofmann at a laboratory in Switzerland. So the early directors of the MK Ultra program became aware of the existence of LSD and sought to use it for mind control. In the early 1950s, Sidney Gottlieb arranged for the CIA to buy the entire supply of LSD for $240,000. That kind of money today would be closer to like well over $4 million or more dollars. So this supply gave Gottlieb the ability to fulfill his experiment by spreading LSD to prisons, hospitals, institutions, clinics, and foundations in order to see how citizens would react to the drug without knowing exactly what was happening to them. Early CIA efforts focused on LSD-25, which later came to dominate many of MK Ultra's programs. The CIA wanted to know if they could make Soviet spies defect against their will and whether the Soviets could do the same to the CIA's own operatives. So basically the project started in April of 1953, where they administered LSD to mental patients, again, prisoners, addicts, prostitutes, basically people who cannot fight back. As one agency officer put it, in one case, they administered LSD to a mental patient in Kentucky for 174 days. You guys imagine any drug, just 174 days consistently taking that drug? I just don't know. That's insane. They also administered LSD to CIA employees, military personnel, doctors, government agents, and members of the general public to study their reactions. The whole goal was to find drugs that would bring out deep confessions or wipe a subject's mind clean and program them as a robot agent. Military personnel who received the mind-altering drugs were also threatened with court-martial if they told anyone about the experiments. LSD and other drugs were often administered without the subject's knowledge or informed consent, which that's a violation of the Nuremberg Code the U.S. had agreed to follow after World War II. Many veterans who were subjected to experimentation later sought legal and monetary reparations. So, jumping back into the chat here a little bit. Yeah, Billy says they used LSD meth on U.S. soldiers to see what it would do to them physically and mentally. Part of the purpose was to define breaking points for the soldiers. Yeah. Also, it was one of many drugs used to try to control someone's mind. Yeah, Billy, I think you hit on that. That's really kind of the main focus. They wanted to either A, wipe your mind clean and see if they could reprogram you to do what they wanted you to do, like I had said a second ago, like robot agents, or maybe like a truth serum that would just get you talking and spill out all the secrets, especially for spies. Eduardo said he read a post, he doesn't remember where, but the MK Ultra experiments haven't stopped. It was still happening on Epstein Island. I do believe that, and I do believe it still happens to this day. In what capacity or how is it administered, we don't really know. I'm a tinfoil hat kind of guy, so I like to find the truth of things, which sometimes that's easier said than done. It makes you wonder, guys. For me, and maybe this just because I don't have this kind of mindset, but for somebody to go and, let's say take a firearm to a school and injure people at a school setting, what kind of mindset do you have to do that? And it almost makes you wonder, to some of these people that have been, famous for trying to assassinate, like the guy who tried to assassinate Trump, the Charlie Kirk assassin, supposedly. What leads these people to do these kind of things? Are they controlled? Are they part of programs? And it just kind of makes you wonder. That's getting into my craziness there, so we won't go too far down that rabbit hole. Yeah, they use sensory deprivation, brainwashing, and sexual abuse. There's probably a lot of other tactics too they've used that, we probably don't know all of them. Yeah, it's definitely some bad stuff, Franklin. Billy, you need to stick around. We'll get you to call in. I know you know a lot about this stuff, so love to have you call in. We'll get to that here shortly. He says one avenue they found was to tell soldiers what they were doing and then use it on people without them knowing to see the difference. So one of the biggest operations they did, it was actually called this. It's called Operation Midnight Climax. It's basically where the CIA set up several brothels within agency safe houses in San Francisco. And basically, they were trying to obtain a selection of men who would not be too embarrassed to talk about the events. The men were dosed with LSD. The brothels were equipped with one-way mirrors, and the sessions were filmed for later viewing and study. So basically, they hired prostitutes to lure men in, get them on LSD unknowingly, while an agent was on the other side of a one-way mirror filming this. I mean, talk about that's just insane to think that actually happened, but it did. So I think I've got maybe a video on that. I was going to show you guys something I found. This will give you guys a little bit more background on this whole thing. Let's open this up. It's just a short video.
2 American spies have just arrived at Sandoz Laboratories, one of the world's leading pharmaceutical factories. The mission: corner the market on the world's supply of a powerful new psychoactive drug.
The CIA was scared stiff the KGB was going to get all this LSD and come over and start dosing people. So we bought every drop of LSD in existence at that point.
The CIA has just authorized the purchase of 10 kilograms of pure LSD-25, enough to dose more than half the population of the United States.
They gave it to George White and let George start dosing people.
George Hunter White, a larger-than-life undercover federal narcotics agent. Unbeknownst to his supervisors, White also works for the CIA. His job: to conduct experiments for an operation called Midnight Climax.
George had a CIA safe house stocked with booze. George would sit behind this one-way mirror, drinking martinis, sitting on a portable toilet. If he had to take a leak, he didn't want to get up and leave.
White pays prostitutes to lure their clients to the agency's safe house.
Hookers who would bring these suckers back to the apartment and dose them with pure LSD 25.
This is where I have my effect. In the mind.
This is lysergic acid diethylamide, better known as acid. The powerful drug was first synthesized in 1938 in Switzerland. With a dose of mere micrograms, the mind becomes confused. Perception is distorted. Personal identity is called into question. The results can be euphoric bliss or deadly panic. White takes meticulous notes and files his reports to his CIA handlers.
So that was how LSD was introduced to this country.
Operation Midnight Climax is part of a larger top-secret CIA program called MK Ultra. The goal, learn how to control and even reprogram people's minds. The CIA believes LSD might hold the key. Over the next 10 years, the agency doses a cross-section of the American public. Everyone from unwitting housewives to soldiers to even criminals like gangster Whitey Bulger is tested.
You know, what the CIA really dreamed of was sort of like a drug you could give to someone, get them to commit all sorts of unspeakable acts, and they wake up the next day and they don't remember what they've done.
They were looking into brainwashing. They were looking into mind control. They were looking into how they could create what they called Manchurian candidates. They were trying to figure out if they could get people to go out and do things that they would ordinarily not do, like assassination.
The case of MK Ultra has to be one of the craziest cases of blowback in CIA history, because here they took this drug, LSD, and thought that they were going to be able to use it to control people's minds. And the unbelievable irony is that LSD is a drug that does exactly the opposite. It frees your mind and causes people to question authority.
Turn on, tune in, drop out.
The CIA's attempt to control people turned out to be just the opposite. It created the counterculture as we know it of the 60s. It was the CIA that introduced LSD to the United States.
So, just wanted to share that with you guys. As you can see, definitely kind of wild that our government introduced LSD to our country. So, if you weren't aware, now you are. Yeah, I mean, just imagine, unwilling participants just being dosed with LSD. Again, it's hard for me to imagine. Never tried that. Let's see. Sophia, I heard that some people were so drug-induced they committed suicide. Yeah, I do. I've seen some stories of that, and I actually... There's one, it's this Frank Olson we're going to get into here shortly. They say he committed suicide, but that's not really what it looked like. Brittany, nice to see you in the chat. Better late than never. So, let's see here. I'm just pulling up the okay, so Frank Olson, he is kind of the one I was telling you guys about. There's been several known deaths that are associated with Project MK Ultra, but most notably was Frank Olson. He was in the United States Army biochemist, and he worked with biological weapons as a researcher. So he was well invested in the military. So in 1953, a few days before his death, Frank Olson quit his position as acting chief of the Special Operations Division at Detrick, Maryland, which is later known as Fort Detrick, because of a severe moral crisis concerning the nature of his biological weapons research. Among his concerns were the development of assassination materials used by the CIA, the CIA's use of biological warfare materials in covert operations, experimentation with biological weapons in populated areas, collaboration with former Nazi scientists under Operation Paperclip. If you guys aren't familiar with Operation Paperclip, that is one. I probably will do a whole episode on that in the future. It's pretty fascinating. So November 1953, Olson was given LSD without his knowledge or consent as part of a CIA experiment. He died after falling from a 13th story window a week later. A CIA doctor assigned to monitor Olson claimed to have been asleep in another bed in a New York City hotel room when Olson fell to his death. In 1953, Olson's death was described as a suicide that had occurred during a severe psychotic episode. The CIA's own internal investigation concluded that the head of MKUltra, CIA chemist Sidney Gottlieb, had conducted the LSD experiment with Olson's prior knowledge, although neither Olson nor other men taking part in the experiment were informed as to the exact nature of the drug until some 20 minutes after its ingestion. The report further suggested that Gottlieb was nonetheless due a reprimand, as he had failed to take into account Olson's already diagnosed suicidal tendencies, which might have been exacerbated by LSD. So his family did win a $750,000 settlement from the U.S. government, and apologies from former President Gerald Ford and one of the CIA directors. So they actually exhumed his body in 1994, and they found that cranial injuries indicated that Olson had been knocked unconscious before he exited the window. This means that forensic evidence conflicted with the former official version of events by the CIA. They actually turned and ruled his death to a homicide. So they definitely, this guy, big into biological weapons, he decides to hang it up because he doesn't agree with it. Next thing you know, he's dosed with LSD and commits suicide. They later find it was actually probably a homicide. Hey, Tim, welcome to the show. Yeah, they definitely were. Definitely were some drug-induced folks, and that happened. Guys, if you want, I'm going to put the number up here on the screen. If you want to do a call-in, I need to grab my call-in phone. Be right back. 2 seconds. Sorry about that. I forgot to bring my phone with me. But yeah, if you guys want to, the number's on the screen. Call in. Let's talk about anything MKUltra related, CIA cover-ups. Heck, we just want to hear from you. So you guys reach out. Give us a call if you choose. Appreciate you jumping in, Tim. I appreciate all of you guys being here, too, on a Wednesday night. Again, I know it's probably not the most popular night to be jumping on a live show, but I highly appreciate it. So, kind of a little bit more about that first operation, the one that I told you about, Midnight Climax. Again, this is where they had kind of a safe house and had a one-way mirror, and prostitutes would lead unsuspecting men into the room, get them boozed up, which they also had some LSD given to them unknowingly, and they would kind of film what happened and study it. So that's insane. So this Operation Midnight Climax was launched in 1954 and consisted of a web of CIA-run safe houses, again in San Francisco. And this ran all the way up until 1965. So this is many years where they were doing this. So it was established in order to study the effects of LSD on non-consenting individuals. Prostitutes who were on the CIA payroll were instructed to lure clients back to the safe houses where they were plied with a wide range of substances, including LSD, and they were monitored behind one-way glass. The prostitutes were instructed in the use of post-coital questioning to investigate whether the victims could be convinced to involuntarily reveal secrets. The victims were sometimes fed subliminal messages in attempts to induce them to involuntary actions, including criminal activity such as robbery, assault, and assassination. Many of the CIA operatives involved in the experiments voluntarily indulged in the drugs and prostitutes for recreational purposes. Additionally, there was information from Wilmington News Journal on October 15th, 1978. They did a FOIA request. The spy agency purchased 2 pounds of, I don't know how to say this, Yoshibine hydrochloride. So I'm not really sure what that is. Hydrochloride, but Yohimbine. Not familiar with that. So, what do you guys think about that? Yeah, I believe that. It's like the guy that they, like I said, 174 days straight, they gave a guy LSD to run experimentation on him and everything. And that's, I can only imagine what his mind is like or was like at that time. It's not any different than Nazi prison camps and torture people, continuations of a godless society. Yeah, it makes you wonder too, kind of back to the Epstein tie there earlier, somebody had mentioned, what was really going on that island. Are we ever going to really know? They release documents, but they're so redacted. It's really hard to really make much sense of them at all. So like I said, numbers on the screen, guys, call in. Love to hear from you. Billy, if you're still in here, man, call in. I don't know if he's still in here or not. So just going to pull up. So a lot of this stuff ties back into kind of where I was going with this was kind of the 60s. And, in 69 is when a lot of the Charles Manson murders happened. If you guys are familiar with that, there's a famous book called Helter Skelter. It was actually written by Vince, I'm going to say his last name wrong, Bugliosi. He was one of the prosecutors on the case. It's actually the most famous book in relation to this, but there's actually some other books that are more damning. And so the book written by Vince Bugliosi, the DA, that everyone knows kind of the story of the family, and he was influenced by the Beatles, and he thought there was going to be a race war. This is the time of the Black Panthers. And so he felt that he was there to help incite and start this race war and see it through. He had like kind of a cult following of men, women that lived with him on different like ranches, like old movie sets. And this is all in California, but what's kind of crazy is Manson, he was kind of known to use a lot of drugs, LSD as well. And if you remember at the time, most of the LSD was kind of pushed out into the public by the CIA. And so Manson did a lot of crimes where he was released when anyone else would have been behind bars for life. He would just get off every time. He would get released. There's a lot of speculation and actually some things that are coming forward that he was probably being kind of handled by somebody of a higher capacity, somebody in the CIA, somebody who was feeding him the drugs, kind of feeding him this freedom to go about and do things. There's actually a famous counterintelligence program. It's called COINTELPRO. That's the abbreviation for it. And this all ties into MK Ultra because it's around the same time. again with the LSD and the drugs, and really the CIA kind of doing a lot of questionable things, especially to not only American citizens, but it even goes so far to possibly even like murdering American citizens for their own agenda and their own purpose. What do we got over here? Men pillow talk without drugs. There you go. Well, maybe you should call the CIA and tell them, Courtney. Let's see. Never got why, though. The fog clears. Brittany says, I think it's LSD that does it, but it puts holes in your brain if you take too much of it for so long. I know I might need to fact check that, but that's just what I've been told over the years. Yeah, I mean, I'm sure it does something to your mind. Surely it's got to. Sophia says the government destroyed files to hide the truth of the CIA corruption. Yep, they definitely did destroy the files. Some files still exist, and they actually released a few. You can actually find those on the CIA's website. So Courtney says, my uncle's brother drank so much shroom tea that he thought he could fly and jumped out of a tree like 6 feet up or something. Now he thinks computers are murder machines. I guess that really can mess with your mind. That could really mess with your mind. Yeah. Hopefully, Courtney, your uncle's brother will come back to reality. Sorry to hear that. So kind of back to this COINTELPRO and the Manson thing. I've been reading this book lately. That's why I'm so kind of enthralled with the whole Manson murders. There's a book out there. It's by an author, Tom O'Neill. And I've actually reached out to him to try to see if he would potentially come on my show, but no luck yet. So I'll keep trying. But he really is an investigative journalist that dives into kind of the truth behind the Manson murders and how it ties into the CIA and to some of these operations that all ties back to MK Ultra. And so the one I'm telling you about now is, like I said, it's called COINTELPRO. So this was a counterintelligence program, kind of started by the FBI with higher purposes as well from the CIA. So the FBI engaged in covert operations which targeted domestic political groups from its earliest years. Covert operations under the official COINTELPRO label took place between 1956 and 1971. However, the official chronology of the program is the subject of debate. So a lot of these programs actually could still be going on today, kind of instead of using the word counterintelligence, they use the word investigation, which is pretty broad. Many of the tactics used in COINTELPRO are alleged to have seen continued use, including discrediting targets through psychological warfare, smearing individuals and groups using forged documents, by planting false reports in the media, harassment, wrongful imprisonment, illegal violence, and assassination. According to a Senate report, the FBI's motivation was protecting national security, preventing violence, and maintaining the existing social and political order. And so in 1969, that's when the Black Panther Party leaders were targeted by this COINTELPRO FBI operation and neutralized. So they were actually these American citizens. Yes, they were the opposite, political party. They were Black Panthers. I'm sure you guys know your history and kind of know what the Black Panther Party stood for. But there's a lot of ties to these FBI agents and potentially other CIA assets, killing American citizens for political reasons, for national security. So it's pretty wild. So, like I said, the numbers on the screen, guys. Call in. I think Billy's going to come back on here. He's well versed in this stuff. So I'm hoping he'll give us a call here in a little bit. We're missing some of the usual folks tonight. maybe they'll jump in here in a little bit. We've got some usual suspects that haven't seen in the chat, but I'm sure they'll jump in later. Yeah. So what do you guys think? I mean, are you guys interested in this kind of stuff? The MK Ultra government, conspiracy stuff that's actually, we say conspiracy, but honestly, it's been proven to be true over the years. You guys let me know what you think. I mean, does this stuff interest you? Throw me some ones in the chat if this is interesting to you. Just kind of getting a gauge of what you guys like to hear and make sure that this is right on topic. Courtney says the Black Panthers are back at it now. I think they came back out due to the ICE situation. Yeah, I haven't really looked into that, but that very well could be the case. Kind of going back into this COINTELPRO CIA operation, which again ties back into MK Ultra. So I don't know if you guys know, but Martin Luther King Jr. actually got kind of caught up in this COINTELPRO. So the FBI was actually bugging Martin Luther King Jr.'s home and his motel rooms. They knew he was growing in stature daily as the most prominent leader of the civil rights movement. And again, just remember this whole COINTELPRO was put into place to kind of protect national security and kind of keep America away from certain political movements that it didn't align with. Most of these were leftist movements. And so in 1960, King began to publicly criticized the Bureau for giving insufficient attention to the use of terrorism by white supremacists. Hoover responded by publicly calling King the most notorious liar in the United States. And so actually what they did is they had followed him around. They got a lot of video of him, talking to a lot of people because that's what he did. And they actually got some video of him what they said was flirtatious in nature, and they actually sent that to his wife to try to cause tensions at home for him. And so, yeah, so it says the tape, which was prepared by FBI audio technician John Matter, documented a series of sexual indiscretions by King, combined with a letter telling him there's only one way out for you. You better take it before your filthy, abnormal, fraudulent self is bared to the nation. And again, they sent this stuff to his wife to kind of stir it up. I mean, there's a lot of things that the government did. So basically they went after the Black Panther Party. They went after any political movement that didn't align with them. Again, they probably still do that to this day. We just don't really always see that. So I was going to kind of show you guys this video too. It kind of leads into the Manson part that I was talking about earlier. This is a trailer actually that's coming out. It looks like it's going to be on Netflix. And it's from that author. I was talking about Tom O'Neill, the book I'm reading, which is called Chaos. It's just the truth about Manson in the 60s. And I think it's going to be fascinating, but I wanted to share this with you guys. It gives you kind of an eye-opening experience about what this is.
It's one of the scariest true stories out there. An 8.5-month pregnant, beautiful woman getting stabbed to death. Manson was able to gain control of his followers. He could get them to go out and kill on command without remorse. How did he learn how to brainwash those kids and turn them into monsters?
These people were on LSD. Manson was preaching all the time. Race wars, murder was okay.
When a story did start to emerge, it was managed very carefully.
It was managed and manipulated. I know that what we were told isn't what happened.
There
there were these research scientists who were working secretly for the government.
One of the most bizarre episodes in CIA history.
Planted false memories in people without their awareness.
My world is a sad world.
Manson was really into mind control.
I understood what I was doing, but it just didn't make any difference.
Manson became exactly what the CIA was trying to create.
Well, you're suggesting Manson was a puppet.
So it looks like actually it came out March 7th. So I'm behind. I need to go watch that because that is exactly, like I said, the author that of the book that I'm reading, and it really all ties into MK Ultra. Some of you guys are here that just popped in. Ashes, good to see you here as always. Billy, it's good to have you back. Billy, you should actually call in. The number's on the screen there. Give us a call and share some of your knowledge and insight on MK Ultra. We'd love to hear it, or any other of the CIA operations that you may be aware of. So I know you've got a lot of that. So you should definitely give us a call. In the meantime, though, we'll kind of get back into our story. But let me pull this up here. So to kind of give you guys a little bit more backstory on the book that I'm reading, which I think you all should read if you like to read. Again, it's called Chaos by Tom O'Neill. And it really gets into kind of the meat and potatoes of what, really who Manson was, how he, brainwashed all these people. I'm trying to pull this up here really quick. So you guys should definitely check that out. One thing else too, I wanted to mention, we talked about how they did this MK Ultra program. They used all this LSD and other drugs on unknowing people. They also had secret detention camps. So in areas which were under American control in the early 1950s in Europe and East Asia, mostly Japan, Germany, and the Philippines, the CIA created secret detention centers, or black sites is what they call them, so that the U.S. could avoid criminal prosecution. The CIA captured people suspected of being enemy agents and other people it deemed expendable to undergo various types of torture and human experimentation. The prisoners were interrogated while being administered psychoactive drugs, electroshocked, and subjected to extremes of temperature, sensory isolation, and the like to develop a better understanding of how to destroy and control human minds. It's almost like, in a way, they wanted to break down the human and rebuild with and reprogram with what they wanted to happen with their narratives in mind, which is just crazy. Sophia, yeah, hey, I appreciate you being on, and 4 a.m. That's an early morning. So as always, appreciate you, and we look forward to seeing you next time. Billy, if you're still in here, man, call in. Oh, Lucy, hey, welcome to the show. So she says the only reason MK Ultra was found out about is, in very general terms, because of the Watergate scandal. Yeah, Watergate, that's a whole nother topic, it all ties together. There was a lot of funky stuff going on back in then. See you later, Sophia. So again, guys, numbers on the screen, call in. We have a new episode dropping this Friday between 11 and 11:30 a.m. Central Time. So if you liked our last episode on Friday we had Cine on. and we did a 3-part series with her. So she's going to be sharing part 2 with us this Friday, and each part just gets better. So part 1 kind of opens it up, but definitely check it out. It's going to be dropping this Friday. You guys make sure you like and comment on that. Make sure you like and comment on this as well. That helps us. We're always trying to get more people into the chat, kind of grow this community. So I appreciate you guys being kind of the early adopters is what we'll call you. So definitely appreciate you being here. I was trying to find, I had something else I was going to go over with you guys that was pretty interesting. So, as you know, MK Ultra plays in part in many conspiracy theories due to its nature and to the destruction of most records concerning it. This has also led to the idea that the human experiments performed by the CIA are ongoing in the present day. So, the CIA have been active, obviously working actively in the United States since at least early 1950s. Project MK Ultra is probably one of the most famous ones, but there's definitely more that kind of tie in with that. So if you guys are interested in looking into that, I highly suggest kind of doing a deep dive, because you can spend multiple hours upon hours going over all this. So what also is kind of crazy is MK Ultra wasn't just happening in secret apartments. It was happening at institutions, hospitals, prisons, pharmaceutical companies. Even doctors and professors didn't know that the CIA was funding the work. So towards the end of the program, when it ended, which it ended in 1973, supposedly, so the director of the CIA at the time, his name was Richard Helms, he actually ordered most of the MK Ultra files to be destroyed. Thousands of documents were shredded. Why? Why are they allowed to destroy all the documentation? It's kind of frustrating, especially, a lot of times things happen and then years later they release, and unredact all the files. But in this case, I think there was too much that we shouldn't know, or they don't want us to know. There was actually some documents that did survive by accident. I don't really know how you don't destroy all of them if you're trying to destroy them all. And so in 1975, the U.S. Senate launched a investigation, which was called the Church Committee. You guys may remember this. They uncovered evidence the CIA had. So basically, the CIA had conducted illegal human experimentation, drugged citizens without consent, violated basic human rights. The public was stunned. MK Ultra is real. And so, the Church Committee is really, there was a lot to that Church Committee that was studied when they started doing the Senate hearings in relation to this. So basically, the Church Committee did publish a final report in 76, which was in 6 books. And there was actually 7 volumes of the Church Committee's hearings in the Senate. So it'd be kind of interesting to read through those books. Let me just jump in the chat here. Let's see. Eduardo, still glad to have you around, man. Say, Josh thinks Elon Musk will have us all microchipped soon. I don't know about that, but he does have the what is that brain? You guys probably know what it's called. I can't think of what it's called right now. There's actually a guy who was on Joe Rogan's show who has I think he was like severely paralyzed, and this helps him function. It's actually pretty cool. Not something I would want to do unless I just absolutely had to. Speaking of mind control, though, I still want to get hypnotized. Yeah, I'm not really sure if I believe in that. I think it's interesting, though. If you're able to get hypnotized, you should definitely call in and tell us about that. Definitely appreciate you guys being here tonight and hanging out with us on a Wednesday night. It's crazy that it's already Wednesday. I know I brought it up earlier, but I wanted to kind of give you guys, there's just so many of these different operations that the CIA does, that are just fascinating. And there's so much to it with a little bit of secrecy. And so you can really do rabbit holes for days, weeks, months, years. One I mentioned earlier that's actually interesting was the Operation Paperclip, which was a secret United States intelligence program in which more than 1,600 German scientists, engineers, and technicians were taken from former Nazi Germany to the U.S. Basically, they brought them here to hide their identities and let them do some work for the government here and give them a new life after all the atrocities that they had done. So the effort began in 1945 as the Allies advanced into Germany and discovered a wealth of scientific talent and advanced research that had contributed to Germany's wartime technological advancements. So the operation, which was characterized by the recruitment of German specialists and their families, relocated more than 1,500 experts to the U.S. It had been valued at basically $10 billion in patents and industrial processes. Recruits included such notable figures as Weimer von Braun, a leading rocket technology scientist. Those recruited were instrumental in the development of the U.S. space program and military technology during the Cold War. Despite its contributions to American scientific advances, Operation Paperclip has been controversial because of the Nazis' affiliations. Basically, there's the ethics of assimilating individuals associated with war crimes into American society. So the operation wasn't solely focused on rocketry. Efforts were directed towards synthetic fuels, medicine, other fields of research, notable advances in aeronautics. They straight up went over there and brought back some of the most evil people from Nazi Germany. They may have been really smart, but Courtney says, find the guy and you're going to get hypnotized on my show. That would be kind of interesting. You set that up and you let me know. That would be interesting to see. That would be pretty interesting to see. So again, if anybody has anything to call in about in your relation to MK Ultra, any CIA operations, new or old, we'd love to hear from you guys. Call in and help keep this show humming along. So I've had some people kind of pop in and pop out all night. So definitely appreciate you guys hanging out. Let's see here. If you guys had to pick, what would be your favorite? I say conspiracy. Again, these are all proven true for the most part. What's your favorite conspiracy theory? You guys tell me in the chat. What's your favorite one? Is there one that you just love to kind of research, or one that sticks out in your mind? You guys let me know what you think. No takers. Nobody. You guys help me out. Oh. Oh, you've been waiting for this, Lucy? Like to tell us your what your favorite conspiracy is? What's your question, Billy? Call in to the show. My number's on the screen. Serious questions. Tell us. Courtney says Illuminati. The Titanic was actually its sister ship and was sunk for the insurance money. I haven't heard that actually, Lucy. That's very interesting. That's very interesting. Why don't you call in and tell us about that? What you know about it? I haven't. And so the sister ship is the Olympic. Interesting. Oh, we're actually getting a call, guys, so we're going to take this. Hey, welcome to the show.
Thank you. I have a question.
What you got?
And so I wanted your thoughts. So a lot of conspiracy theories and a lot of theories are based upon what we know is possibly real and possibly not, right? So back during the Cold War, there was a phrase that was created that has been used from President Wilson forward, okay, and Patton and all of them. The phrase is national security. If it's a matter of national security or considered national security, then they have full reign to do whatever they want. President is not held back. CIA is not held back. CIA is actually authorized to use deadly force if necessary. If it's a matter of national security, they could act upon that. And so my question to you is, do you believe that the term national security is just commonly used as a way to justify some of these experiments and things that they're doing?
Yeah, no, I think that's a good point you brought up. And this is Billy?
Billy man, yes.
Hey, Billy. Good to see you. Glad you called in. No, I think that's a great question, and I appreciate you calling in with that. I think there's a lot of terms that are used to kind of get things done broadly. So I think, like you said, the term national security, how easy is it to say this is a national security matter and then proceed to do what you need to do to, get rid of the threat. So I think that, yeah, there's definitely.
So, excuse me, to continue on along those same lines, a question I've always had, especially for the general public, if you will, when these soldiers, as what was being talked about earlier, with these experiments and these drugs and these types of things that were going on, a lot of those programs were probably developed in a way that, quote, national security, if something like this was to actually happen, we have to know how to deal with it. We have to know how to treat it. We have to know how to deal with any type of like biowarfare or anything. How many people would actually, do you think, sign up and volunteer to say, hey, inject that in me and let's see what happens?
That's a tough question. I mean, during MK Ultra, they did say that there was military personnel who willingly signed up, but they didn't have all the facts, right? So I think it kind of depends on how it's laid out to somebody. It's like if I say, hey, Billy, do you want to come over and I got this awesome drug that I want you to try, but I don't give you all the details of it because that's, a lot of times with experiments, there's, you have your hypothesis and, you have your placebos and you have your, people who actually take it. So you want to compare both parties. So there's only so much that anyone's going to tell you, I think, in any kind of experiment, right?
So is it a good thing or a bad thing that they did what they did? Did they do it knowledge, or what was the actual motive for them to do what they did? What is it that they were trying to do?
Yeah, so like if you're speaking of MK Ultra specifically, they had two kind of goals in mind. reprogram robot agents or kind of like a truth serum, right? So is that something I think they should have done? Probably not, just because they did a lot of bad things to unsuspecting people, and that could have killed them. Then they did assassinate people too. So
I agree, definitely wholeheartedly. But where I'm leading up to all of this is this: if the other countries, including our enemies, are doing that, and we're not doing it, are we behind the 8 ball for what they're capable of doing, or is it a matter of national security that we need to be on the same playing field with such things?
Yeah, you're asking some good questions tonight. I mean, that's so we each country, right? They want to have the upper hand in all aspects, whether it be space exploration or new weapons, atomic weapons, right? So we always want to have the upper hand, but we were a moral country, right? So we kind of all have our morals, and my morals just don't align with torturing anyone. So that's kind of where I stand on it. I think that, I mean, for national security, you could do anything, but it's too bad we just have to live in a world where that's something that people feel like they need to do.
So have you heard of Rebirth Island in Russia?
You're gonna have to refresh me. I know I've heard it, but I don't. I've been so focused on MK Ultra.
Basically, basically what Rebirth Island is. It's an island that's located in Russia, and it is one where they practice creating diseases, doing modification, genetics, doing all kinds of things. And it was done in attempts to create the bio warfare, so to speak, where that type of diseases and viruses and things like that could actually be used in actual warfare, such as being able to put something really horrible together and like kind of like crop dust in a crop. You could crop dust a civilian population. So in that island, it's considered probably one of the most dangerous places ever, and was used very heavily from the 1960s all the way up through the 1990s into the early 2000s, all the way into, it's actually one of the islands where anthrax was developed. And if you remember, during the anthrax scare in the United States, that was one of the responsibilities for the CIA, was to determine, did this particular type of anthrax, did it actually come from there? And was this a test run or something like that for some sort of bio warfare? Like, how is it going to go? How's it going to react? Can it be treated? Can it not be treated? Is it, is it traceable or whatever? And the KGB obviously was responsible for a lot of this, and a lot of the scientists and doctors and people of that statute were the ones who were doing all these things. But if you research that and look into it, look at the role of the CIA in that particular project that took place.
No, I'll definitely going to look into that. I mean, I think with so many few words, there's some things you just can't say on YouTube. Rebirth Island kind of sounds like a lab in Wuhan. That's as far as I'll go with that before I get canceled off YouTube. But yeah, there's probably a lot of things like that still exist to this day. So, man, great questions. You challenge the mind. Actually, Courtney, somebody in our chat, she had kind of something to go with that. She said, but where, with your last question, but where does it end? We're supposed to be a country like with freedoms. And so if we have no free will of our mind, if our minds are controlled, do we really have free will? So that's kind of interesting.
I think it's also interesting too. Another way to look at it is, and if you think about this, us as people, we have morals. Like you said earlier, we have beliefs, we have thoughts, we have feelings, emotions, and we have morals. And that's what makes us good people for who we are. How much of those morals does our government have? Where do they draw the line? Where do they say, okay? Or is it, quote, a matter of national security? Kind of a catch-all phrase. But I appreciate you taking my calls. I appreciate you letting me call in. I love your show. It's absolutely amazing. Keep up with it. Keep doing a great job. And always remember this and carry it with you. If you're in line at McDonald's and you get your big, nice Coke to drink, you get your large French fries, if you turn around and a famous actor was to pick up a French fry and eat it, if you go tell all of your friends and family, are they going to believe you?
That's a good thought to leave with. Probably not. I mean, that's why we have cameras, all the video evidence these days. We want to see the video evidence, the proof.
Absolutely. Fly high, brother. I'll be listening to your show. Thank you.
I appreciate you calling in. Thanks, Billy. Yeah, Billy's an awesome guy. He always comes up with some. He's a kind of a wealth of knowledge in a lot of things, and so love his questions. Really appreciate you coming on, Billy, and kind of back to that point, Eduardo. Man, that's actually a good point. There are a lot of homeless people that go missing, and it makes you wonder. Like Los Angeles, I'm actually going to be flying into Los Angeles in a few weeks. Tenton City is really big up there. Yeah, how easy is it for somebody who's vulnerable to go missing? It kind of ties back into Epstein Island. They took the most vulnerable children, vulnerable people. There's even some thought that they had Epstein and kind of his associates had adoption agencies, just places where if a kid goes missing, who's really asking and trying to follow up with that person. So it's definitely there's probably a lot of dark things that go on in this world that we don't know about. And as you guys know, stay rooted in faith, and that's the best that we can do to fight, evil. So Courtney says they believe I ate a fry off the ground. Yeah. So Courtney wouldn't see a famous person. She would just be the one eating a fry off the ground. Hopefully somebody would film that for us, Courtney. Yeah. Great stuff, Billy. Thanks for jumping back in the chat. Again, I don't know if you heard earlier, Billy. Appreciate you being on, man. Appreciate you calling in. If anybody else wants to call in, number's still on the screen. Talk about, you can ask questions. We could talk about anything, kind of conspiracy related. So I've kind of ran through most of what I was going to talk about with MK Ultra. Well, look at my luck on that, guys. I'm going to plug my phone died. I'm having the worst technical luck tonight. The worst. Nobody's going to call if the phone's dead. So, sorry, guys. Plug my phone in for... Sorry, guys. My phone had died. I had to plug it in. So if you did try to call, give me a few minutes. You can call back. As to the phone go dead, or an agency is trying to tap in. We'll never know, Billy. We'll never know. Eduardo said, I mean, even when they found out of the corporation was in charge of taking school photos of innocent children. Yeah, I actually heard that they a lot of schools canceled Life Touch from and got a new deal. I know that school that my son goes to, they actually have a different photography agency. It's got a different name, anyways. Is it really different? I don't know. We are going to do some more true crime, Courtney. I've got a documentary styled episode. I said episode just for you coming out. It's going to be a few months because this stuff takes a lot of time to kind of produce. So we want to do it right, make sure it looks good. So we're going to do some more true crime. I've actually got a guest coming on in a few weeks that he's going to share his story. He was actually shot by a coworker in California. He's going to share that story, kind of the aftermath of that, and kind of what it was like to get shot. That stuff's very interesting to me as well. So definitely going to do some more of that. Phone's back on, guys. So if you did call, please call back. Love to have you on the show. Sorry if I missed your call because my phone died. So. But so some of the questions that kind of, go back to MK Ultra and all this. So if the government once experimented with mind control, what might they be capable of now? Technology today is far beyond what existed in the 1950s. We have artificial intelligence, behavioral algorithms, psychological targeting. So the real question is not, did MK Ultra happen? We know it did. The question is really, did it stop? So what do you guys think? Billy says, one of my favorite theories is, do cops really turn on their blue light to avoid stoplights, or are they really responding to a call? Yeah. Why don't you share some insight on that? I think you've got a background. You might be able to help us with that. I've always wondered that, you're like, man, this guy's speeding along. He's not really speeding that fast. Yep, I know how to say episode the right way. For you guys that don't know, I usually say episode. That's just how I've always said it. But I have a few people in here that like to correct me. So I guess it's episode. I do believe it's still happening to Eduardo. Definitely. You think it continues today through AI? That's definitely interesting. Courtney says you should cover the old guys that used to work for the CIA that are spilling secrets. If you know one, send them my way. When I originally started conspiracy, I was like, I'm going to find some people that can come on and spill the beans. That's really hard to do. We got to get on like Sean Ryan's level in order to have some stuff like that on this show. You guys help me get there, and we'll bring on anyone you want. But yeah, I don't have those contacts. Anybody who watches this has got those contacts, send them my way. I would love to talk to them. I have reached out to a few people that I find interesting. Like 4 people. One person's reached back out. So we might have for some of you Bigfoot folks, we might have a pretty cool guest in the future. Kind of a well-known name in that sphere. So, okay. So you got some stuff you want to share, Courtney? Call in, share it with us. We'll start with your hypnosis. Hey, I'm all about it. If you want to see Courtney get hypnotized live on the show by a real hypnotist, put a 1 in the chat. I think that would be kind of interesting, kind of unique. Yeah, I definitely believe it too. So I want to kind of go over some questions with you guys. Billy got me thinking now with all these questions. So do you guys think, would you trust a government agency to tell the truth about secret programs like this? Do you think there's ever going to be a day where they sit down and just spill the beans, no BS, no fluff, and just kind of spill the beans on pick any given topic and just tell us the truth? Do you think that's even possible at this point? Billy says how it works through AI. Remember how Coke and pizza companies would subconsciously play their commercials through movies to get people to go buy their products. Yeah, a lot of that kind of propaganda definitely still happens today. It's kind of like the cigarette industry, how they really pushed cigarettes on the public using propaganda. And what's crazy is a lot of those people from the cigarette industry that's kind of dying these days, they've moved over to kind of like on the board of like food, like the US was the USDA or the FDA. Some of those guys sit on the board who were once part of like the big, cigarette industry, and they're on the board now of food, which is kind of interesting. Eduardo said, "What about the retired U.S. Air Force Major General William Neal, deep dive UFO research and classified Pentagon projects, who all of a sudden disappeared?" Yeah, there's a lot of stuff involved with that. I know the name Eduardo, but I'm trying to think of his exact story. Every time I think of UFOs and stuff, I always think of like Bob Lazar and kind of the things he would talk about. Who's the guy that goes on all the podcasts these days? I'm trying to reach out to him. I think it's he's a big part of the MUFON project. Some people think that he's spilling the beans to try to lead us astray, but who really knows? Yeah. They will not tell secrets anytime soon due to national security. However, when they consider the threat no more, it will be revealed. Yeah, well, Tom DeLonge, he's Blink-182 lead guitar man, but or not guitar man, lead singer. It's him. It's Lou Elizondo or something like that. He was like in the government. He's part of that too. I think it's Luis Elizondo, or I know I'm saying that wrong, but I always see him all over the place. But yeah, Tom DeLonge is big into this stuff too. Nathan jumping in. As much as they lied about a variety of things, if they came honestly 100% factual, would we even be open to believing them at this point? Crying wolf will eventually get you eaten. Yeah, that's a good point, Nathan. Appreciate you being in the chat, listening. And I don't think anyone would believe him. It's kind of, it makes you wonder, guys. For those of you who are believers, when the Antichrist comes, he's going to be, kind of a false prophet. A lot of people are going to believe that he's the true Messiah. So all the propaganda and stuff that we hear now, a lot of people believe that stuff. So it kind of makes you wonder: are they just setting the stage for the future? Yeah, it's Lou Elizondo. Yeah, that's the guy. Yeah, and Jerry McCorbell and George Knapp. Yeah, I've heard them several times. Guys, I would love to have on here to talk to, or even if it was just like by Zoom. It's kind of hard to get people like that on. They only want to go on the biggest shows, So who knows? One of these days we might be able to have some conversations with some folks like that. That'd be kind of interesting. But yeah, I definitely am a firm believer in alien life. However, I don't believe that they exist in space. I'm of the belief that they exist in the ocean. And all things, I do believe, were created by God. So that's my take on aliens or artificial life. So I know some people don't agree with that, but that's my take on it. So if you guys want, we can sit in the chat and talk, play some music. You know, we end the show every time with some music. You guys, if anybody wants to call in, please call in. Number's still on the screen. Email me here shortly. I'll throw my email on the screen. If you want to be on the show, if you know anybody who might be interested in being on the show, we talk about all kinds of things from conspiracy theories to aliens, Bigfoot, true crime. If you have somebody that you know that's been a victim of a crime and they'd like to share their story, we'd love to hear that as well. So if you know anyone, please send them our way. We'd love to talk to them. I'm going to go ahead. I'll put my email up on the screen. You guys email me. Let's have you on the show. I appreciate you hanging out with me on a Thursday or Wednesday. My days are off. Courtney, you agree with me? Yeah, the ocean. That's where I believe. We just don't know enough about the ocean. It's so much we don't know about the ocean. Billy says they live in space. I watched Star Trek and seen them. That's pretty good. Yeah. Star Trek. I had seen that in a long time. I was more of a Star Wars guy myself. Star Trek I couldn't really get into as much. So I want to go out with a couple questions and then we'll listen to some music and hang out, chat. So if the government hid MK Ultra for 20 years, what else might they be still hiding today? That's a pretty broad question. We know there's going to be a ton of stuff that they're still hiding today. Starship Troopers. Farscape. I've never seen that either. Never seen it. Never seen Farscape. But one of the viewers, they actually put a comment on the channel a while back. You probably all haven't seen it, but one of their favorite conspiracies, which is one that I want to do a show on soon. It's weather modification. We already know they've kind of revealed, I think just this year, they've actually kind of revealed that we have directed energy weapons. And so with that, easily they can do kind of weather modification as well. And I'll take it. I'm an uncultured swine. Yeah, Josh, I haven't seen it. I'll have to check it out. Maybe I have, and I'm just not remembering it. I really don't know. So well, guys, I appreciate you hanging out. That's really all I got for tonight. I just kind of wanted to go over MK Ultra, kind of share some of the stuff I'm reading, which really all ties into it. There's so much that ties into it between the 1950s and 1970s. There is so much stuff that happened between, there's so much in history, and it all ties together is what I've come to kind of find, all of it. Tell the story about Chernobyl. Yeah, that would be a good one. Yeah, that's a good point. Really appreciate you bringing that up. I'll definitely look into that one for a future episode. But yeah, again, guys, all of it ties together. It makes you wonder, because we can go back into the 50s through the 70s and we can look at all these things that are kind of coming to light today. It makes me think of like the time we're in now, like right now, what's going to come to light, in 30 or 40 or 50 years. That was going on today that was right in front of our face. We didn't really see it. We didn't have any idea about it. So it just makes me wonder. You guys keep your eyes peeled and definitely reach out by email. Let's have you on the show. I'm going to jump into some music, guys. Just hang out. At the end of each show, we like to hang out, jam to some music for a little bit, get in the chat. And I really appreciate you guys being here tonight. So this is a song that I recently kind of had curated for the show that you guys let me know what you think.
I'm just a ghost on the neon highway, chasing
tonight, guys. Hope you like that. Turn it off. Over and over. So that's kind of a newer one that I had curated for the show. So hope you guys like that. Kind of an 80s vibe to it. Let's see. Courtney said, Brittany and I are on opposite sides of that. She thinks they're actual literal demons causing evil actions. And I think it's always a mental defect or disorder. It's definitely interesting, Courtney. Yeah, I know you kind of know a lot about psychology and different things. So it'd be kind of cool to hear that. Eduardo. It is soon. Yeah, we don't have very many munitions left from what they're saying. So if it comes down to on the ground battle, we're going to run out of bullets quick. I just think China's sitting back waiting to take over Taiwan. So I think they're just kind of waiting for the right time, and then they're going to move on Taiwan. So if you guys got time, I've got another song we can play. I've got one that, see what you guys think about this one. It's a kind of a different styled song that we had.
Silence, hitting my hands on the floor. Every dream felt broken, couldn't lift my heart anymore. Whispered a name in the darkness, didn't even know why I tried. Then a peace like thunder rolled down deep inside. Turned out to be your mercy, teaching me who I am. I see the grace in the ruins, I see the gift in the pain. Every time I thought it was over, you wrote my name again. And I should have broken, I should have given in, but you kept my heart beating on. You walked me through the fire, not a step alone. Turn my deepest valleys into stepping stones. Every scar, every tear, every long hard night, you were right there with me, bringing dead to life. I got faith, I got breath, I got one more song. I was lost, now I'm here where I belong. You walk me through the fire, and you make me strong. You walk me through the fire, you redeem my past. Every broken moment gonna shine at last. Every chain, every weight falling at your name. You were in my weakness, setting me
What do you guys think about that song? I thought it was kind of a cool rock vibe mixed with a little bit of Jesus in there. So that's what it's really about. But Courtney, I do use AI a lot. I've actually trying to learn how to use it more, but I'm definitely probably not going to check out Farscape. Is that a video game, actually? Is that what that is? Is that a video game? Yeah, night terrors are a form of demons. Yeah, so I had a guy, he kind of ghosted me, so I don't think he's going to come on the show. Maybe one day. But he was going to share one of his encounters he had. You guys may have had this. It's like the sleep paralysis and the things you see when you're in a sleep paralysis. I've got a weird theory about sleep paralysis that it's just a theory of my own, and I've never experienced it, so this is just a theory. But sleep paralysis, people like get terrified because they see these like shadow figures in the corner of their eyes. They see all these things, but something interesting that I think is like, yeah, it's scary. And then when you're in the moment, you have to like push past the fear. And if you can stay in that moment and push past that fear, that's like the gateway to astral projection. Not sure if you guys believe in that, but I think I truly believe that's kind of the gateway, pushing past that. It's not a video game. There is a video game, I'm pretty sure it's called Farscape. So I'm not crazy. It's kind of like Guardians of the Galaxy ripped it off. Yeah, but Guardians of the Galaxy is probably better, though, just being honest with you. If you guys want, we got time for another song. Not sure what you guys thought about my if you guys have any night terror stories, you should share them. Let's do that sometime. Let's get you on here. Let's share them. That would be cool. I'm going to play another song here, and then I'll probably get close to wrapping it after that, but we'll play at least one or maybe two more. This one's probably my favorite.
Blue glow, static headlines crawl, red string on a bedroom wall. Every name that we can't say out loud still hangs in the air like a storm cloud. Secret flights on midnight planes, they scrub the logs, they change the names. Smiling on our TV screens, their teeth drip through the in-between. Epstein files in a locked up drawer, black ink spilled over every door. Just a rumor till it hits the floor. How much can you hide before it's war? Burn the quiet files, turn the whispers into trials. If the truth is such a threat, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Raise your hands, deny every scripted lullaby. If the truth is just a lie they fed, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Cameras blink, but the tape runs thin. Lost frame where the ghost step in. Silver tongues in a smoke-filled room. Draw maps to a windowless tomb. Half-mast flags and a tidy speech. Justice stops where the rich hands reach. Every case closed is a sharpened hook, buried deep in a vanished book. Burn the quiet files, turn the whispers into trials. If the truth is such a threat, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? Raise your hands, deny every scripted lullaby. If the truth is just a lie they fed, what are you afraid of? What are you afraid of? How many lone wolves fit in one cage? How many loose ends cut from the page? How many cameras blink at the same time? How many fall men cover one crime? Count the patterns, count the ghosts, count the names they never toast. If it's all just fantasy,
All right, what do you guys think about that song? It's probably my favorite one so far. Hey, you guys with these night terrors, you know, I don't want to let the show like be overrun by demons, paranormal stories, but it is something that I do want to have some episodes on, excuse me. And so you guys definitely should email me. Let's have you on if you're comfortable to share. It's always better if you do it on camera. Um, audio ones are good too, but it would really be awesome to hear some of the stuff you guys go through. And I wasn't trying to make light of it earlier when I was telling you about kind of that being the gateway to astral projection. That is something that I've heard from somebody who has taken DMT, if you guys are familiar with that. They took it in like a clinic that was like a controlled setting. There's a lot of stuff about that. I don't do drugs, so but it would be cool to have you guys on and kind of talk about that, because there's so many people who experience night terrors. I've never had sleep paralysis. I used to have kind of a fear of the dark for a long time. Actually, I recently, probably my late 20s, I finally got over it. So, so I've been there to some degree. So, yeah, astral projection. So what I've heard, Eduardo, and I don't know this is true, never done it at all. So, but the people who really believe this, they make a pretty compelling argument. You should look into it. Basically, the night terror stage is it's like really where your body is truly like asleep, but your mind's awake. And that's the key, is that your mind's awake, and you've tricked your body into thinking you've gone to sleep. And so you're seeing these shadows and these figures. And if you can just kind of hang tight in that situation, and start to, they say, kind of roll figuratively out of your bed, like you can roll out of your body and astral project into crazy dimensions and planes. And again, never done it. So it's just something that it's intriguing to me, if nothing else. So this is a conspiracy channel, so you guys know I'm a little crazy in a healthy way, So yeah, I'll check my email, Courtney. I appreciate that. Guys, I've got one more song for you tonight, and then we'll probably kill the channel for tonight. Just remember to tune in on Friday, 11:30 Central Time. We'll drop the next episode. It's going to be a good one. And we're always looking for new guests. So you, yourself, or anyone you know, please send them our way. Email us. My number's been on the screen. Share it with anyone. I don't care. They can text, they can call. It is a real number. So we'd love to talk to you guys and hear more. So I really appreciate you guys being on. Eduardo. Oh, is that, you mean like ayahuasca? Yeah, ayahuasca. I think I'm saying it right. Yeah, that and mescaline. I think those kind of tie together. So there's definitely been some, people who use DMT. It's almost like a healing thing for them, more so than a drug, and it really frees your mind. That's what I've heard. So I'm too chicken to ever try that kind of stuff, but it's definitely interesting to think about. So you guys want to finish off? We can do some rock music. I've got a country song. You guys might like it better than me. It's okay, I think. We've got some rock. We've got some punk rock, kind of like, think Blink 182 kind of style punk rock. What do you guys think? You guys tell me. Yeah, there's a lot of beneficial things that go with that. Actually, there was a guy that owns a gym over near the area that I'm in, and he, awesome gym. They just got kind of busted and arrested. They were doing like DMT stuff at their house, and I don't know. So apparently, it's still a pretty popular thing. You guys want country, punk rock, rock? You guys tell me what you want to hear. Anybody share what you want to hear in there? Like I said, rock, country, or punk rock. So You guys are gonna make me pick. I'm gonna pick one. All right. Let's see. Well, guys, that's going to wrap the show. I really appreciate you guys being here tonight, hanging out with us till the end. We're almost at 2 hours. So, as I like to finish out, guys, with our live shows, stay alert, stay weird, and stay alive. We'll see you guys on the next episode of Strange Conspiracies. Really appreciate you guys being here tonight.